guys, it's Christy. Welcome back to my channel. Your girl is not feeling great today. Took a really wicked migraine right before I came on, so bear with me and we're going to push through this. Today we are talking about the thoughts, theories, rumors, speculation around the Kiely Rodni case and what happened to this poor 16-year-old girl. There's so much flying around out there on social media right now. It's kind of turning into a circus, and I know we all want answers, and I know that, you know, our minds are going to lead us where they lead us. But there's some places that we shouldn't let our minds lead us. I didn't know if I wanted to start with this or end with this, but let's go ahead and get it out of the way, because it's really what people are talking about right now, and we need to quit talking about it and focus on Kiely. So we got Ryan Upchurch. As you know, I've said in the past, I'm a big fan. I love his music. I think he's a very talented artist. I watched his videos about the case early on. I thought that Ryan had a lot of really good points, like really good avenues for us to kind of explore. Like the Zanime lady, it's sketchy that she just comes out of nowhere and supposedly has all this information, and that she went out there and kayaked and had diving gear right where Kiely's car was found. I mean, yeah, she's kind of suspect. I love Wicked Mel. I mostly watch his car chases when he has those on his channel, but I have followed Wicked Mel for quite a while. And yeah, Red Flag Ronnie, yeah, there were a lot of red flags there. I don't know the connection between Wicked Mel and Zanime and Red Flag Ronnie. I can't put it all together, but Ryan had his theories, and it was interesting. It was something to explore for sure. And sorry, dogs in the house, because it is super hot today, and I think the heat index is over 100 right now. Also, I've got the frizzy hair, but anyway, back to Ryan. In a case where we don't have a lot to go on, and it seems the police don't have a lot to go on, it's natural to speculate and come up with your theories, and that's fine. And we don't all have to agree. That's the great part of being a human, of being a person. You don't always have to agree. You know, my husband and I don't always agree. Me and my kids, you know, we have differing opinions on things, and it's okay. And I'm always open to hear other people's ideas and opinions, because sometimes, you know, it can open my eyes and open my mind to things that I hadn't considered or hadn't thought of yet. And like I said, it's okay for us not to agree. I'm sorry. Guys, hey. Odie. Sorry. See why I have migraine? But like I said, I am a fan of Upchurch, but that doesn't mean that I have to agree with everything that he says, and I don't. Like I said, I found it interesting to kind of watch him put his thought process out there and kind of lead us down rabbit holes. And I mean, that's what we do, right? There's a lot of cases. Delphi, the rabbit holes you can find to go down on that case, are never ending. So, sorry, that's Wreck in the background, my new puppy. But, and this is a big but, the last few videos that Upchurch put out crossed a line that I will not cross with him. Now, I am still a fan of Upchurch, and that won't change, but what he put out there, I don't agree with. But like I said, everybody is entitled to their opinion, and everybody can believe what they want to believe, and everybody can put out what they want on their channel. He has so many followers, and sometimes that's a good thing and sometimes that's a bad thing. But recently, in his last couple of videos, he, for whatever reason, has decided that he thinks this whole thing never happened. That I guess it was a hoax. That Kiely was not a real person. And I can't go there. I absolutely do not believe this was some sort of crisis actor situation. I don't believe it was a hoax. I can't follow him down that rabbit hole. But just to address a little more about Upchurch, now, I think he is a good guy with good intentions. I think his heart was in the right place. He put the Hellcat up, if you remember, as part of the reward. And it came out that Adventures with Purpose, they don't accept rewards, so they won't be getting the $75,000 reward money that had been raised for Kiely. And I respect that. They work, they volunteer. And yes, could they use that money? Absolutely. But that's not what they do this for. They don't do it for reward money. Ryan said that he had contacted Adventures with a Purpose and hadn't heard back regarding sending the Hellcat to them, and then they could do whatever they wanted, auction it off or whatever. And he has stated, even in his videos where he doesn't believe this happened, that if he doesn't hear from them, he is going to make a donation to Adventures with Purpose in the amount that he purchased the Hellcat for, which I believe was $100,000. So he is still going to do that, and that's fantastic because they'll be able to continue to help a lot of families get answers in cold cases that sometimes, are 20, 30 years old. So, that was a good thing. When he stepped up and did that, that was a good thing. But this latest, so Stephen Fisher, he's SF Investigates on Twitter. I've talked about him before. He also volunteers his time and service to families. He is a private investigator, and he has been very close with Kiely's dad and her grandpa. And he put this out today, and it says, "I just got off a long call with David, Kiely Rodni's grandfather. I am not here to judge anyone. This case has been very emotional. I would just say to Ryan Upchurch, her family hears your claims that she is not real. They are very hurt and confused. Kiely is real. She was their life." And that's upsetting. We need to remember in these cases that these are real people. These are their real lives. This is not a TV show. This is not a movie. This is real. And our words can hurt people. And that's why I wanted to make this video today just to kind of go over some of what's out there. And some of it we can't say, is it true or is it not? But I just want to get it all out there so you guys can see what's going on around this case and get the focus back on Kiely. Odie! I'm so sorry, you guys. Odie! Anyway, so yeah, like I said, let's not focus on Upchurch too much anymore. I do want to show you, because this was a big thing too. So on Instagram, Placer County had commented on one of his posts and said, Ryan, check your DM. And I thought that was kind of weird. Somebody, another creator out there, I'm not even going to say his name because I thought the video title alone was disgusting. It was complete clickbait. It was talking about something to the effect of Placer County Sheriff looking for Ryan Upchurch due to his involvement in the case or something like that. It made it sound like, they were actively looking for him and that he had some sort of involvement, and it's not even like that. For starters, I'm pretty sure if the sheriff is looking for you, they're not going to try to get a hold of you through your Instagram DMs. And this is what Upchurch put out. He screenshotted after he opened his DM from them. He screenshotted it and he put it out there, and it says, "Hi Ryan, we appreciate you. Feel free to share anything we have already put out on our accounts. We would like to ask, though, if any information has not come directly from us, to please not speculate and throw the internet into a frenzy. It makes our job and detective jobs harder and potentially makes innocent people targeted." And then it went on to say, so they have the pictures up there. In one of Ryan's recent videos, he had been making claims about their public information officer that had been at the press conferences, and I guess, like she isn't really who she says she is and things of that nature. And they sent, I guess, screenshots of that and said, "This is not our PIO. Please take the photos down immediately." So that's all that was about. I don't know if he has removed that video or not. I'm going to say probably not, but I haven't checked today. So, moving on from Upchurch. Made some notes, of course, about things that I thought we should probably touch on. So Stephen Fisher, like I said, he's been out there. He is the one, if you remember, I'm pretty sure in one of my other videos, I showed you some of the drone footage that he took out at the Prosser Reservoir. He has been updating with what information he is allowed to disclose. And he's been getting trolled really hard on Twitter. And I can't blame him for doing this, but at the same time, it's kind of a shame, because when he would put something out there, you would know, like, it was verified by the family, or, he saw it with his own eyes because he was there, boots on the ground at Prosser. And, he was with the dad and the grandfather when Adventures with Purpose found Kiely. So, yesterday he put this up on Twitter And it said, if anyone wants that video or anything else I've posted on Kiely, screenshot it in the next 10 minutes. I'm going to delete content from the last few days. The group that only cares about hurting victims, including former law enforcement, has arrived. I will focus on Vlad this week, which is another missing persons case who they abandoned. Like I said, he's been getting trolled really hard. So I have some screenshots that I had from before. There were a lot that I wanted, but I saw this too late. I saw it after the 10 minutes and did not get everything. But, there was a lot of really interesting and valuable things that are now gone because of the trolls. So it's sad to see people pulling content down around this case, and it just kind of adds to the, what the heck is going on here vibe. But in his case, I know it's because of the trolls. It's not like he's trying to hide or cover anything up because he wants to get as much out there as he can. So, okay, we talked about the grandpa. So Adventures with Purpose went on Court TV, and they made a statement. Doug made a statement that they expect a lot of heavy stuff to come out of this, and a lot of people are wondering, well, what does he mean, like heavy stuff? And let's see. Sorry, like my notes are so disorganized. I usually organize them better, but like I said, I don't feel good today, so I just am kind of going to have to flip and flop through here. Okay, so regarding Adventures with Purpose on Court TV, Stephen Fisher said, there's something bugging him, referring to Doug. He wants to say it. I want to say it. Kiely's dad and grandpa want to say it. We don't know if it's verified and will respect the investigation. We are the only people besides law enforcement who know the particular detail, and the wait to verify it is very difficult. So, what the heck did Doug mean? What did Adventures with Purpose see when they were down there? So I'm going to play that clip for you. It's very short. I'll probably play it for you twice just so you can catch it, but pay attention, because there's something about even the way he says it. So here we go.
This is a big ongoing investigation. There's still a lot of answers still out there, a lot of questions to be answered. And the FBI, the Nevada County Sheriff's Office, and the Placer County Sheriff's Office now have one of the biggest missing clues to their investigations, and should be. I fully expect a lot of very heavy stuff to come from this.
Absolutely.
This is a big ongoing investigation. There's still a lot of answers still out there, a lot of questions to be answered. And the FBI, the Nevada County Sheriff's Office, and the Placer County Sheriff's Office now have one of the biggest missing clues to their investigations, and should be. I fully expect a lot of very heavy stuff to come from this.
Absolutely.
All right, so what do you think? What do you think they saw? There's even speculation now, if you remember, when Adventures with Purpose did their really brief presser after they found, sorry, I got a text on another case. When they did their brief presser after finding Kiely, they said that they would be releasing their video from finding her in about a week or so. And now there's a lot of people speculating, will they even be able to release that video? Will law enforcement try to keep them from releasing it? And I think outside of a gag order, that Adventures with Purpose should be able to release a video. It's their footage, and they're always beyond respectful to the families. I'm sure they will show the imaging from their sonar of when they found the car in the water, what it looked like on sonar, and then when they dove in and they saw it was her vehicle and they verified the license tag and things like that. They absolutely will not show inside that they saw her. Maybe we'll be able to see the windows, because that's a big topic of controversy right now. I don't know, but I do know that Adventures with Purpose, they were told to take their equipment and leave the area after they found her, and they moved across the lake. Then law enforcement divers came in to hook the vehicle up, to flip it and pull it out. Adventures with Purpose, they often use these flotation bags. I think it's just a gentler way to lift the car, whereas these divers did not use any type of flotation bags. They used cables and kind of like jerked on the car and flipped it and whatever. So I'm curious to see Adventures with Purpose in their video, what kind of damage was done to the vehicle prior to law enforcement coming in to recover it. Like, what condition was it in when it was first found? Apparently law enforcement did their own video, their divers did their own video. So, if that's ever released, that would also be interesting to kind of compare the two. Let's see. So I'm going to show you this video. This is a video of someone going out there and driving the road that Kiely would have driven from the party area to the water, and it's at night. So it kind of gives us a visual of what it would have been like for her driving. This is not as late as Kiely was driving, but you will see, like, how dark it is, what you can see with the headlights, the how rough the road is, the terrain, how small the road is, how close trees and things are. So I'm gonna let you watch that, and then when we get done with that, we'll discuss that a little bit more. So here we go with that video.
Anyway, she was able to make it down this way. I mean, that's my opinion. We're not sure of that, but all right. So here we're going to come to another T in the road. So to the right, so you'll see that tree in front of us. To the right is another way to get down to the water, and that actually will swing around to the other side of the campground area where I saw that water in the distance. That was more shallow. There is some deeper water over there, but most likely she turned this way. So she went left here, okay? There is, to the left of me on the ground, there's quite, down there, there's quite a big crevice, but her car would have made it, but it's kind of a deep crevice. I'm sure when it rains, it gets kind of muddy, and I hear a lot of people get stuck out here. Back to when I was here on the 17th, we got a sudden downpour, and it got pretty muddy in the location I was at, so I had to get out to make sure I didn't get stuck. Okay, so here's the road heading down. At the end of my headlights, you can see that's the precipice, or the point where she most likely entered the water. That's where all the vehicles were on Sunday. All the authorities were parked. Okay, so it's just right here. Now, if she would have went to the left, there's water over there too, but it's more shallow. And then to the right is, you know, it is deeper over to the right. So, you know, this way, there's a big wide open dirt area here that leads down to the water as well. But I'll just go straight towards the spot where they found her car, okay? There's a little bump here. I mean, right now, it's not as late or as dark as when she was here, but I can see the water. I can clearly see that that's water, and then beyond the water, there's more land and trees. Let's turn my lights off and see. I mean, it's pretty.
All right, so quite a drive, right? I'm sure that she had been drinking, so you can kind of imagine trying to navigate that while under the influence of something. I still think that it'll be interesting to see the toxicology, because I honestly feel like she could have been slipped something. I mean, she may have been doing drugs of her own free will. That's not what I'm saying, but I feel like she could have been slipped something, since she seemed so intoxicated so quickly. I mean, I know she was a small girl, but it's just something that's been in the back of my mind. Could somebody have slipped her something in her drink? But as far as driving, Stephen Fisher confirmed with the family that Kiely was familiar with Prosser. It was not her first party out there. She was also very experienced driving back roads and off-road. She had been driving Coldstream, which that's where the family's Lost Trail Lodge is located. She had been driving Coldstream and the train tunnels before she got her license. And before you freak out, it's a private gated road. And, you know, she also drove snowmobiles. The Lost Trail Lodge is very isolated, and sometimes the only way to get in and out was with a snowmobile. So, you know, and I don't know what other vehicles she may have been familiar with driving with. I mean, out here in the country, you know, you've got kids driving tractors when they're very young, you know, and we live in the middle of nowhere, so you can kind of drive around your property, no problem. So, you know, I understand what they mean about her having experience, even though, you know, she was a new driver. She was only 16. She had only had her car for a month. But even with that inexperience, the family didn't believe that that would have really been a factor. And then when you think about the video that we just watched, how did she navigate that road and not hit something? You know, one of the trees or whatever. If she was that drunk, if she was that inebriated, how did she manage to get out of there? Because it's about a half a mile drive if you take the roads from where the party was to the water. It's about a half a mile that she would have had to have navigated around there with those trees like right next to the road. You know, and it's bumpy, so it's kind of throwing you around, and you know, if you're drunk, you know, notoriously we think of drunk drivers swerving, right? So how is she able to have so much control and not run into anything or run something over? You know, something that I thought about. I mean, stone cold sober, if it was my first time out there, I would be driving so slow. And I drive a big truck with 4-wheel drive, so I mean, I would still be a little leery of driving. But you can see how dark it was. So, you know, it's really terrifying to think about going in the water out there when it's that dark. It's terrifying to think about going in the water, period, but especially in the dark. It's just, like I said, it's a horrible, horrible thought. So let's see a little more. Let's talk about, since we saw the drive, let's talk about all the controversy around the car. So, the driver's side window. Sorry, let me find the picture. So here is her car when it was pulled out of the water. And you can see even from this distance that the driver's side window it's gone. And you can see, let's see, it's this one. You can see it's broken up there in the corner where it's circled. You can see that it's broken. And then if you look right by the scuba tank, the yellow scuba tank, you can see that the back driver's side window is rolled about halfway down. And this has been huge controversy. You know, how did the window get broken is the big question. Nick Wren told the New York Times, or the New York Post, and it's in one of my previous videos, that the window was broken when he found the car. He didn't say anything about the back window being down, but he did say that about the front. So, you can also see the mirror is hanging off and there's a dent in the car. So, one of the theories out there was kind of centered around the mass exodus at 12:30, because we know that's around the last time that her phone pinged in that area. So was she part of the mass exodus, which, you know, like, was she in this group of cars as they were leaving? And did somebody hit her car and maybe knock her off the road, and that's how she ended up in the water? I don't know. Like I said, I really want to see the Adventures with Purpose video, because I want to see, was the mirror already hanging down? Was the dent there? I mean, that all could have been caused when she went in the water and the car rolled. You know, that could have knocked the mirror. That could, you know, if there's a rock or something in there, maybe that's what dented the car. But that is one theory that's out there, is, you know, did somebody hit her car, causing her to go off the road and into the water? I like I said, can't answer that. Hopefully that will come out in the California Highway Patrol's accident investigation that they're doing. And then, of course, did the divers break the window to flip the car? So you can see in the picture, the guy in the white t-shirt is holding on to some sort of cable or rope or whatever, and it seems to lead into the car, which makes you wonder, did they loop that cable through there somehow to aid in turning the car over? Again, we don't know. You know, a lot of people are saying they broke the window out to do that, but then why is the back window only halfway down? Why didn't they have to break it all the way out as well? So, you know, people are speculating that maybe Kiely wasn't driving, maybe somebody else was driving, and they broke out the window, or they rolled down the back window and they escaped and Kiely didn't. Again, speculation, we don't know, but I mean, at this point, I guess everything is still on the table. And then, of course, the tarp on the back, and Nick Wren said that Kiely was found in the back. Some people have gone as far as to say she was strapped in the back. That has not been confirmed. Obviously, that would be a huge red flag. There's any number of ways she could have ended up in the back if she wasn't buckled in. When the car flipped, She could have floated to the back if she was unconscious, or after she passed, she could have floated to the back. If she was, in fact, trying to escape the car, she could have swam to the back. And we don't know, was she in the back seat or was she further back, like in the cargo area? We don't know any of that yet. It's hard to speculate. That's stuff that, you know, we all want the answer to, but we may not get it. And you know what? We aren't entitled to it. As much as we would like to know, we have to remember that Kiely is a minor. She was a minor, 16 years old. If her family does not want information released, they can seal all of that. And that's well within their right. And as much as we want to know, we have to accept that maybe we won't ever know all of the details. Obviously, if it's foul play and this moves into a criminal proceeding, going into court, we will get more details, but we're not there yet. So, the back wheels were turning when the vehicle was pulled from the water. We all saw that. And so the question is, was the car in drive or was it in neutral? When they did the presser after Kiely was found, the Nevada County Sheriff's Office would not answer the question about what gear the car was in. And that is very important. If it was in neutral, it kind of makes you lean more towards possibly foul play. So her particular vehicle, if you look it up, the VIN number's out there. If you look it up, it is an all-wheel drive vehicle. It's a system where if you don't have traction, it will automatically kind of override and put you into all-wheel drive to help you gain grip. The default is front-wheel drive. So, you know, on that terrain, it's sandy. You know, she may have been sliding around and, you know, it could have kicked into all-wheel drive. It doesn't necessarily stay in all-wheel drive from the way I understand it. So it's basically a front-wheel drive vehicle with the all-wheel drive capability. So the question is, were the front wheels turning? So SF investigates. He said, let me find it. Like I said, I apologize for not being a little more organized. I usually am. Well, I can't find his exact quote, but basically, he was there with the dad and the grandpa, right? And he saw with his own eyes when they pulled the car out that the front wheels were in fact turning. And that would lead you to think that it was in neutral. You can see in the picture the wheels are kind of turned to the left. I don't know if they locked in that position, if she was trying to turn sharply, you know, if the axle or tie rod or something is broken. I don't know why they're turned to the left, but I have a video. Shout out to Gisela from Grizzly True Crime. I emailed her earlier and asked for permission to use this clip, and she graciously allowed me to do it. So thank you so much, G. Shout out to all the Grizzlies out there. If you aren't following her, you absolutely should be. She is fantastic. She's literally one of my inspirations to start my channel. She gave me permission to use this clip. I will link her whole video in the description of this video for you so you can go and watch it, because it was really interesting. It was very interesting. So I will let you watch this video where she talks about the car coming out of the water and being able to see the front tires turn.
Here is another clip of the car being taken out of the water, where I could see people debating heavily about the front wheels moving or not moving. It's a little bit blurry and the camera tilts now. I've looked at this a lot, but it does appear to right there. If you look at it, frame by frame, let's go. Now they tilt the camera, man. Look there. And we look at it. There. Did you see that? The front wheel turned just slightly. I'll show you again. Watch the front wheel. There. It does turn. See? It's turning. Front and back. Ooh, does that mean the car is in neutral? Maybe. And I think some people will be like, but maybe they put it in neutral, like underwater. I don't think you can even do that. Make a gear change like that underwater. Can you? Wow. I could watch this footage all day and just be like, what? Whew. So Steve says the front tires are moving. You can see the rims turning. Put in Premiere Pro and watch frame to frame. Not dragging, turning. But you don't need to report back your findings. I'm sorry I brought it up. It was a huge mistake, right? So people are attacking Steve about everything.
Alright, so I just love her. If you're not familiar with her, she is from South Africa, and she currently lives in the Netherlands. But she covers true crime from here in the US, and like I said, she does it so well. I really look up to her, so thank you for all your support and just inspiring me every day. It means the world to me. Alright, so moving on a little more about the car. Let's see. So her car did have, what could be referred to as a black box. And, that will record information like any kind of impact, the speed, was there a passenger in the car, have timestamps, things like that. So that information will be very important, very interesting. Let's see, I know I have more about the car in here. Yeah, here we go. Now I find it. So, as she said, SF Investigate said, they're turning, not dragging. So, one thing, my best friend Steph and I were watching the night that they pulled the car out, and we just kept saying over and over, how are there no tracks when she went in? Because when they pull it out, there's tracks. And I mean, if the tires were flat or whatever, fine, but there were such noticeable tracks. And if you remember, the mom woke up at 8, and Kiely was supposed to meet people at Starbucks at 9, and when she didn't, they started searching and they went out there. How could they not have seen tracks then? Now, some people say that it rained or whatever, but I live on a dirt road. Like, my driveway is horrific, and there's tracks everywhere, and if it rains, it doesn't really wash them all away. I just find it hard to imagine that there wasn't some indication that a car went into that water. And like I said, that was just something that my best friend and I, hi Steph, we just couldn't get over. No tracks. How is that possible? So a lot of people are also asking, could the vehicle have been placed there later? And, that kind of goes back to Adventures with Purpose saying that law enforcement said the area didn't need to be searched, and everybody finds that weird, including myself. But the thinking behind the placing it there later theory seems to go back to when they scaled back the search and there weren't as many people out there. Obviously, when it was swarming with people investigating and all those hours were being put in, you couldn't just sneak the car out there, right? But people are theorizing that when the search was scaled back, that somebody possibly could have went out there, possibly at night when it is so dark, and slipped the car in the water at a later time. And that's why there weren't tracks when people initially went out there to look. Again, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to go too far into that rabbit hole right now. But at the presser, they were asked, I don't know specifically how it was asked, but they were asked if they knew how long the car had been in the water, and the response was they assumed it had been there since the night of the party. So we don't really know. I mean, it kind of seems like a stretch, but there's so much that doesn't add up in this case that, I mean, who knows, right? So, oh, and about them saying it didn't need to be searched. So, Adventures with Purpose said that they were working with law enforcement and working with confidential information, and that was why they started at the other locations rather than starting at Prosser, and that they trusted that law enforcement divers had been out there and all this manpower and resources had been put into searching out there, that they felt pretty confident, you know, that that area was good. Like I said, I questioned it immediately. Why didn't they start at Prosser? Well, after clearing the other water, Adventures with Purpose went back to what they do, to their method, and they start with the last known location, the last ping if it's available, and that was at Prosser, and they knew where, you know, in relation to the water it was, and so they decided to go with their gut, to go with what works for them, and they decided to go in and search. And as we know, 20-30 minutes later, they found the car. Now, why wasn't it found before this? I don't know. You know, the sheriff's office says maybe they need more training, blah, blah, blah. It was in 14 feet of water, and the sheriff's office says, well, the water went down since we were out there. And still, if you factor the height of her car, even sitting on the bottom, and then you have a, you know, let's say 5'10" to 6 foot tall man out there diving, and you put this man on top of the car, you know, we've only got a few feet left of water. They could literally probably have stood on top of the car and only been covered by maybe 3 feet of water. So, how they could have been diving in that water, even if the water was 20 feet deep, how they could have missed it is a mystery to me. I mean, I know Adventures with Purpose has good sonar, but it's, you know, it's Garmin, it's side sonar, it's down sonar. I would think that's available to most people, but how it was missed and how it was found so quickly by them will always baffle me. And a lot of people are making a big deal about the car being upside down. If you go and you watch Adventures with Purpose videos, they have one about escaping a vehicle and surviving, and they explain in there that almost always when they find a car, it's upside down. It's normal, with the weight of the engine and the buoyancy from the tires and all of this, the car just naturally kind of flips. I think they said turning turtle was the term they used. But that's just a normal thing. So finding it upside down to me is not suspect at all. I don't think that points in one direction or another of foul play or not. I really don't think that is really important. Let's see. Anything else about the car? I guess the only other thing I have to say about the car, and it goes back to Sammy, she had said that the car had a sunroof, and I've looked at this car from like every angle I can in the different pictures, and I can't really see the top, but they were talking about it having like that roof rack or the bars on the top, and I can't see a sunroof. It doesn't mean that there wasn't one, but with it coming from Sammy, it's just another one of those, like you were supposed to have been in the car charging your phone. Like, were you ever really in the car? How do you not know if it did or it didn't? If it did, that would be another point of exit for the vehicle, but we don't know about that. Let's see. No, I think we've covered everything about the car. Let's see. So foul play or cover up. That's a huge thing right now. A lot of people are wondering, why are all these party goers staying quiet? And we all remember my rant videos about my commenter. I still think she had a kid at that party. I really do. But anyway, sorry, a little tangent there. So a lot of people are wondering, and it seems pretty likely with 200 or 300 people there, were there kids or young adults there that have law enforcement connections or, higher up connections, like, political connections, what have you. And we're told to stay quiet because, they don't want to make their relatives look bad. They don't want that kind of negative attention. And after reading what my commenter said, it's entirely possible. I mean, you would hope if they had law enforcement connections, especially, that law enforcement would not encourage them to be quiet. They would encourage them to come forward, but who knows? Like I said, there's so much with this investigation that doesn't add up. So I can't really say for sure that that points to a cover up, but the fact that many people have stayed quiet is very suspicious. That's a big red flag for me in this case. It's hard to keep that many people quiet. The fact that there weren't more pictures coming out, videos coming out from this party, and knowing how big social media is in that age group is hard to believe. A lot of people speculated, was the party really that big? Law enforcement seemed to think that they had confirmation that there were that many people there. So for now, we have to go with what they're saying. But it's weird that there wasn't more out there on socials. And we did get a picture. This kind of transitions into the cover-up theory. We got a picture. I know y'all all remember it. Of course, it was provided by Sammy, so Remember this picture? So, first off, yeah, it looks like the area where the party was. But is it that party? Was this a previous party? I mean, we know that they have parties out there a lot. Um, this could have been last year's senior send-off party. I don't know, but anyway, this is the picture that that came out, and everybody has talked about how everybody's facing away from the camera. There's like one kid in the middle in a blue hoodie that looks like he's looking at the camera, but he's really the only one. And how unusual it is, like if somebody's going to take a picture, everybody's like, hey, and they're posing or whatever, right? Why would somebody take a picture like this, of people from behind? And why is this the picture that Sammy provided us with? So we're going to follow this rabbit hole a little bit. So that's the picture. And then if we blow it up a little bit, okay, the arrow that I've got pointing kind of like this, we got this kid, and he's kind of like rubbernecking, right? He's looking at something. And then the arrow that's pointing down, you see something, right, in the background. Looks like lights, maybe. But what's this kid looking at? Like, what's got everybody's attention? Why is everybody's back turned? What is drawing everybody's attention that way rather than at the person that's taking the picture? That's where we're going, right? Like, what is over there? And like I said, why is this guy like, I mean, he's like on one foot and he's like really like looking like, what is going on over there? All right, so then I guess if you mess around with the picture and you blow it up and you fiddle with the color or whatever, this is what you get. This is what the kid's looking at, and it looks even more like lights. So from there, we go to, could that have been Kiely's car going off in the water? Maybe. I mean, I've wondered, nobody saw it, nobody heard it. There would have been a splash. The headlights would not go out immediately, so they would have been reflecting off the water, in the water. And so that leads us to the question of, could you see the water from where the party was? Initially, I heard that there was not a line of sight from the party to the water. Honestly, I don't know, other than the people that were there, if anybody really knows exactly where the party was. But Stephen Fisher, the private investigator, posted this. Somebody asked, did you see an area where the water can be seen from the party areas? I found one, but I'm being told I'm crazy. The trees don't line down to the parking area. I saw a place where kids could see the water. If I'm wrong, let me know. And Steve commented back and said if you walked south in the trees, then yes, you could see the water from that point, but you couldn't get a car through there. So that's not my question about driving a car through there. My question is, could you see the water? And he says, yes, if you walked south in the trees, then you could see the water from there. So if that picture is from that party that Kiely disappeared from, is that what they're looking at? Is that what the kid is, rubbernecking about? I don't know. We don't know. No one knows. Except these kids and, Rubbernecker here, he knows what he's looking at, but how do we know who he is? Because we only see him from the back. But, like I said, overall, everybody's looking that way, right? What has got everybody's attention? I mean, it's definitely a rabbit hole that you could spend a lot of time in. Um, but it all depends on if this is from the party that Kiely was at, or is it a picture from a previous party? Um, you know, there's questions. And like I said, this was provided by Sammy, so we got to take it for what it is. Let's see. I've gone over that. Yeah, and this. Okay. So we know Jagger got this tattoo in honor of Kiely, and it says, "Stay alive for me." And a lot of people are like, oh, maybe she was suicidal. That to me is a huge jump. Of course, it's possible. I mean, a lot of times we hear of people unaliving themselves and not really showing any outward signs. Nobody saw it coming. But from all indications, she was happy. She was getting ready to go to college. You know, things seemed great in Kiely's world. My thinking was, you know, maybe this was something that she said to him at some point. You know, maybe Jagger was having a bad day. Maybe he was depressed or whatever. And, you know, teenagers make comments, and while, yeah, they're disturbing, they're not always serious, but maybe she was concerned and she was just like, hey, you know what? Stay alive for me and I'll stay alive for you, kind of thing, you know? I don't know. I mean, yes, I put a lot of value in words and how things are said and how things are written and things like that. But in this case, I think it's a reach. It's a tribute to somebody that meant the world to him. And like I said, it just may be something that they said to each other. You know, even jokingly, like, you know, maybe they didn't even have to be depressed. It was just like, hey, stay alive for me. You know, my son and I have, I can't get it on camera, matching tattoos. Kind of see it there. And it says just survive somehow. It came from The Walking Dead, but, you know, I've been through a lot. I have had, like I said, I had cancer twice. I have seizures. I have other medical conditions, and, you know, like any family, we've had our struggles, right? And he's in the Navy. He was in the Navy. He's out now. And that was just kind of our thing, you know, like whatever life throws at you, just survive somehow. It doesn't mean anything like one of us was going to do something to ourselves or whatever. It's just kind of a reminder that, hey, you know, sometimes life sucks and you just got to survive somehow. So, you know, I'm not going to make more out of this tattoo than it's just a tattoo. Okay, what else have we got here? Alright, so airbags. A lot of people have commented in the picture we don't see the airbags. You know, did they deploy? I thought maybe after being in the water that long, if they had deployed, they'd kind of deflated and maybe they were hanging down and we just couldn't see them from the picture. But somebody asked and they said, I did not see the airbag deployed. Maybe I'm mistaken, but was it deployed? And Steve responded back and said, as far as I could tell, I don't believe they deployed. So without deployment, I'm not sure if that even triggers an event in the data recorder, which the black box that I was talking about earlier. So he doesn't believe that they deployed. I don't know how close he was to the car, but he doesn't believe that they deployed at all. And I don't know what kind of impact it makes. I mean, I know you would probably, if you were going any speed, you would come to like a pretty quick stop when you hit the water, right? It should trigger the airbag, but I don't know. Never been in a crash where my airbags have deployed, thank God. Or if she was going at any speed and kind of like ran off and landed in the water like this, would that cause the airbag to deploy with an impact on the bottom? I don't know. I don't know enough about that to even speculate. So Sammy, my girl Sammy, she immediately was like, someone else is involved, right? Instead of, when she found out her friend was missing, thinking, oh shit, she drove drunk. I didn't think she would, but she did, and she had an accident. She immediately jumped to like, she could have been abducted. Somebody else was obviously involved. So that leads us to, did Sammy see something? So if we go back to the timeline, we know that Sammy said she left at 12:25. We know the mass exodus was at 12:30, so it's, pretty much the same time. So was Sammy part of the mass exodus? Was Kiely leaving at the same time? Did she see Kiely run off in the water? I don't know. Did she see somebody else hit Kiely's car and Kiely go off in the water? I don't know. People have speculated, was she driving and they went off in the water and she got out and Kiely didn't? There's been speculation that Sammy's clothes were wet and she had to change them at the party. That hasn't been confirmed by anybody. I haven't heard anybody come out and say for sure that happened. So I don't know. I don't know why she jumped to the conclusion that somebody else had to be involved. It was weird to me. Like I said, my initial reaction would have been like, oh crap, she decided to drive and she must have had an accident somewhere. But that was not Sammy's initial reaction to the news. And we don't know why. We don't know a lot about Sammy. Let's see. So Steve said, like, this is per the family, that Mag's mom and Kylie's mom had just got back, I believe it was 2 weeks before the disappearance, from a vacation in Mexico, and it went really well. I've seen an interview with Mags where she explained that her mom and Kylie's mom were good friends and they wanted their daughters to be good friends, and they, got them together when they were young, and as they grew up, they grew closer and closer. And Steve said that Sammy and Kiely were not very close, but Mags and Kiely were close. And I've questioned Sammy all along. You guys know that. I hope I'm wrong about the girl, but she just sets off red flags left and right for me. Steve says there was friction between Sammy and Kiely over a guy, not Jagger. And he doesn't believe that Sammy was being genuine when she said that Kiely was single. And remember in the interview, she said she was rocking that single life. He doesn't think that was genuine. And he believes that the truth about Sammy will come out. So who's this guy that the friction was over? And I've told you before, my daughter, when I was talking about this case, her immediate reaction was jealousy. So was there some sort of argument or something over a guy? did that somehow factor into what happened to Kiely that night? Or is it just a coincidence that this was going on and then this horrible thing happened to Kiely? You know, because there's friction, that doesn't automatically point the finger that Sammy did something. But did that influence anything with Kiely's behavior? Did it cause her to drink more because she was upset, or do something out of character for her? I don't know. You know, it really brings in that question again of why did Sammy put herself like front and center of all this? You know, she wanted to like run this investigation. She wanted all the leads to come to her. She made it sound like her and Kiely were so close. You know, she was like gonna get a ride with her and then went back to the party to find another ride after she made that arrangement, and just odd things, you know. She acted like she knew so much about Kiely, and then you find out they weren't that close, which I never thought they were. They don't even follow each other on social media, for crying out loud. But we find that out that they're not that close, and then we find out about the friction about a boy, you know, and it's just more questions like, Sammy, why are you trying to make us think that you knew her so well? You know, and talking about, you know, oh yeah, she loved to swim and all this stuff, you know, like, I don't know, just odd little things. I don't know. There's something about Sammy that I can't get out of the back of my brain. Like I said, I hope I'm wrong. I hope she's not involved somehow, but the more that comes out, the more I question. You know, she had given quotes to, I believe it was the Sun, and they weren't that flattering about Kiely, you know, saying basically that she had lied to her mom, that her whole plan all along was to go to this party and get effed up, and she told her mom that she was going to be a designated driver, so her mom would let her stay out later or whatever, and that she really wasn't going to be a DD. She was planning to get, you know, completely trashed. Why would you say that, Sammy? That, I don't know. And then turn around and be like, oh no, she knew better than, you know, to drink and drive. And I don't know. She's back and forth. I've showed you in past videos, like, her inconsistent statements. You know, she says this here, and then in another interview she says the exact opposite. So I don't know. But Stephen Fisher, I think, saw the actual text, excuse me, the actual text that Kiely sent her mom that night. And, you know, he, like the rest of us, kind of questioned if she was that messed up, how did she send such a coherent text to her mom? He said there were no grammatical errors, there was no misspellings or anything like that, nothing to indicate that she was that messed up, which again makes me wonder, was she slipped something that messed her up like really fast? Like, after she sent that text, did something happen? And I also still question, why did she decide to go to the party? Because she had planned to go to the car show at hot August nights with her family. This had been a plan for a while. She knew about the party for weeks and obviously wasn't planning to go. She was going to go with her family. What happened that day to change her mind? Maybe Mags called her and said, hey, can you give me a ride? Because we know she gave Mags a ride. But then Mags only stayed for 10 minutes, which is odd. I don't think Sammy called and was like, hey, can you come to the party and give me a ride home? Because I don't think she would have cared if Sammy was there. So, you know, then people start to feed into this Mean Girls, Pretty Little Liars type, you know, this was a setup. You know, Mags got her there, and then Sammy did something to her. And, you know, after hearing, you know, the family really thinks that her and Mags were close. They were on vacation. Mags seemed upset in the interviews when we would see her. Sammy seemed like she was enjoying the limelight. Mags seemed upset. But I don't know that it was a setup, and if it was, I don't think that Mags had anything to do with it. You know, somebody might have had bad intentions for her being there, but I I can't bring myself to think that it was Mags. But something changed her mind to get her to the party, and I would really like to know what that was. I'd like to know, like, who called her, who'd she talk to, who'd she text that day. And Steve has told the family that, like, if they're not getting information from the police about the phone records, that since she had a family plan, that the records should be easy enough to access, and that, you know, he can help them get those analyzed. And that would be a lot of really interesting information, you know, timestamps, pings, who did she talk to, who did she text, and when. Like I said, I've wondered that from the beginning too. Why did she change her mind? Why did she decide to go to that party? And you know, it can lead you to think, did somebody change her mind to get her there for a not so good reason? But again, we don't know. So we can't really go off on that tangent too much. Let's see, make sure we've covered everything. Yep, that looks like that's pretty much everything I wanted to touch on. So, I do want to show you her grandparents, bless them. They put out this statement. Steve had put it up, and he said that they wanted it shared. So I'm going to share it here with you guys. It says, "Dear Sheriff Moon," that's the, I want to say Nevada County Sheriff, could be Prosser, one of them. Over the last 17 days, we have been filled with uncertainty, grief, and fear. Locating our granddaughter on Monday has brought us an element of resolution. While not the conclusion we had hoped for, this agony has been brought to an end. Yes, we are saddened, but we know now where our dear Kiely rests. It took an army of individuals to find her, from backcountry hikers to the FBI, divers, the tow truck operator, print shops, sheriffs, police, Homeland Security, and ultimately the Adventures with Purpose team who found her. Collectively, we all made it happen. Everyone volunteered their skills, stood up for Kiely, and hit the pavement running. In the end, we found her. There will always be an armchair warrior contributing an unproductive display of criticism, ridicule, and blame. The Nevada and Placer County Sheriff's Departments gave it their all. For those who point fingers and don't believe in our law enforcement, if you ever find yourself in deep trouble, simply dial 911. Law enforcement will be at your door within minutes to hold you up during your darkest hours. We are forever indebted to you. Kindly, David and Cassandra Robertson. And that's true. I mean, a lot of us want to criticize because they didn't find her in the water. But they put in a lot of time. They put in a lot of resources, and they worked hard, and the family feels like they gave it their best. So we have to honor what the family is saying and assume that they did. Oh, and a lot of people are wondering. So when the Prossers first started, Placer County kind of ran the show, right? The public information officer was with Placer County. We had Placer County Sheriff's Office up there talking about the investigation side, and Nevada County was the search and rescue side. And now Nevada County has taken over, and Placer has disappeared. We didn't have the public information officer at the last presser. There was nobody from Placer County at the presser. I think this is simply because where she was found was in Nevada County. Yeah, I guess they could have said, hey, Placer County, you started this, you can finish it. But at the same time, I would think procedurally, Placer County would just hand it off to Nevada County because it's their jurisdiction. I don't know how both were involved from the beginning, if it's because where she lived maybe was in Placer County. I don't know. But Nevada County is running the show now, and the FBI are involved. And I don't think there's anything nefarious about Placer County not being at the presser. I don't. Lastly, I want to share this. Sorry. Kiely's mom, Lindsay, posted this. It says Kiely's gathering will be at the amphitheater at Regional Park on Saturday, September 10th. All are welcome. Details will be announced as they shake out. So they are having a gathering to honor Kiely, and everybody is welcome. And I think that's wonderful that everybody can go and pay tribute to this beautiful girl. So if you're in the area and you want to go, just kind of keep an eye on her mom's post, and time will be coming in the next 2 days, I assume. I'll keep an eye on it. If I see an update on more specifics about the time and place and what have you, I will bring that to you. And I don't know, like Country for Kiely, there was some footage that came out of that. So if there's any footage from this gathering and it's not intrusive on the family, I'll share that with you as well. So thanks for being here today, to kind of go over, like I said, all the theories and rumors and speculation and everything that's out there, and let me know what you think about all of it. You know, leave me your comments on all of it or one part of it. Let me know, what do you think? What do you believe? Give this a thumbs up to boost it in the algorithm, of course. Share it on your social media. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, I would encourage you to do that. Click the bell to all, and you'll get notified every time I upload a video. And as always, thank you so much for spending a little bit of your day with me when I'm not feeling good to talk about Kiely and keep her out there. Keep her family in your prayers. And as always, I will see you in the next one.